All right, well, the theme today is Thanksgiving, and we've got some great guests here today. The founders of the Riverside Methodist Thanks Meal, and that would be Spike Wellman and Sandy Drury. So thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start with you, Sandy. It sounds like you've been a Hubbard County resident here for about 50 years.
Correct.
And you've had a career with a lot of different jobs, including teaching and crafts and all sorts of things, working in cabin construction and all those things. What are some of the best parts about living and working in Hubbard County to you?
Well, we live on a lake, which is important. And both my husband and I snowmobile in the wintertime, and we RV in the summertime.
Okay. So I understand you're also involved in the Nevis Trailblazers Snowmobiling Club.
Yes, we are.
And what's that about?
Well, it's about maintaining 104 miles of trails throughout the Paul Bunyan Forest and on the Heartland Trail. And we have about 15 people right now who are signed up as club members. I'm secretary. I'm in my 9th year as secretary, hoping someone will take it next year so I can just ride.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, before you were kind of saying you were champing at the bit to get going on your snowmobile this year. Yeah.
We are, because we had no snow last year.
What kind of machine are you working with these days?
Let's see. Both of us ride skidoos. I have an orange and black one.
Yeah.
I can't tell. They are both 4-strokes.
Okay. Is it an 800 or a 600 or what's the?
I think they're 800s.
Yeah, the big one then, right?
You can still only go 50 miles an hour on the trails.
Yes, if you're going to follow the law. I was going to ask.
You have to follow the laws, because my husband and I were, well, my husband basically, and I helped him, was the safety instructor.
Okay.
With snowmobiles for 13 years.
And it's important because it's important to abide by safety rules because they're there for a reason, right?
Right, and he doesn't want his name in the paper that he was caught.
Do you still like to pin the throttle to the
I don't.
No. No.
I want to ride safely and feel good.
Well, what does a ride? I mean, for a person who's maybe slowing down a little bit, kind of what's a typical ride for you?
Usually a family ride, we decide on a lunch place to go, and normally we ride on a Sunday after church.
Okay, yeah.
Because Friday and Saturday are kind of people come from the cities and from Fargo to ride, and you just don't want to be on the trails then.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of people out there racing and maybe enjoying themselves a little more than they ought to be, and it's a little more dangerous, perhaps.
Well, it is, but now we're on the Heartland Trail again instead of on the side trail, which is a whole lot better because we don't cross from the side trail. We would cross the Heartland Trail, and that was really dangerous. Now we're back on the Heartland Trail.
One of the things that I disliked about snowmobiling was having to ride through ditches. Do you still like to do that?
Well, it's not bad now on this 4-stroke, but before on the first sled I rode, yes, I wouldn't do that.
Okay. Okay, so Spike Wellman, you are also a co-founder of this meal here.
No, actually,
he's
I'm not. Sandy is
not.
one of the co-founders. I didn't enter the scene till early 2000s.
Okay, all right. So you haven't been around that long. You've only been there for about 20 years.
Right. Something like that, yeah.
And you told me before that you had a career working in mental health services.
Right. Well, prior to that, I was an employee, or I was on staff at Riverside Methodist Church as Director of Youth Ministries and volunteer coordinator. And that's how I got involved in the Thanks Meal. But yes, I was an ARMS worker, which is adult rehabilitative mental health services, as a practitioner to help folks maintain independent living That's what we did. Social worker, basically, is what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you like ordained in the Methodist Church?
No, I'm not ordained at all, but I grew up in the church, and actually I like doing a variety of things, or have in my life. And as I mentioned to you before we started, I was in a family business and as a manufacturer's rep in the hunting and fishing business, which required a lot of traveling, and I grew tired of that as my kids were growing up, and got out of that business, and then basically switched from sales to social work is kind of how it worked out in general.
Yeah. Do you still do a lot of fishing and hunting and stuff like that here?
Not as much as I should. Yeah. I kind of feel bad telling you
How much should a person do?
Well, there's never enough if you really love it. And I got away from it. We did a lot of fishing when I was in the business. Not because that's what we were supposed to do, but we would take customers on fishing trips to Canada or other places that, where you were almost guaranteed to catch fish.
Yeah,
and you didn't have to work too hard at it. But it was fun, and I still love to fish, but just don't do it as much as I should have. Now that I'm a retired older guy, I just told my son yesterday I'd like to get a fly rod. And I like to walk, I like to hike, and I like to go back in the woods, and that would be my style of fishing.
I took there was a adult ed class on fly fishing. I think it was last summer. I took that class, and I found that to be quite frustrating. The whole idea of casting the fly rod, I found it to be kind of difficult.
Yeah. I haven't casted a fly rod in years, but I learned from a guy back in the 70s and 80s who was a world-famous fly fisherman, and he was the president of Cortland Line, which is a fly fishing line company in Cortland, New York.
Oh,
and
upstate
New York, and he taught me how to fly fish and or fly cast, and I think it's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do that, you should be able to hang in there and pick it up again.
And then you can probably always spot a good place if you see one, right?
Well, I learned that too. He taught me a little bit about that. Walking the streams and being quiet and approaching them carefully. A pool where you might think there might be some fish, and so I haven't done that in quite a long time, and I'd like to get back to that.
Where are some of your favorite places to go hiking around here?
Well, Itasca Park, of course, and last summer I trained for 4 months in hiking all around town to hike the Grand Canyon, and a high school friend of mine and I traveled to Arizona. Actually, we flew to Las Vegas and drove over to the north rim of the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
And our goal was to hike rim to rim in one day.
Yeah.
Which we did. We started about 5 a.m. on the North Rim.
Yep.
Went all the way down to the bottom, crossed the Colorado River, and made it to the top about 1 a.m.
1 a.m?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We had another friend join us who was the driver. He dropped us off at the North Rim and then drove all the way around to the South Rim, and he met us there.
Yeah.
When we came up.
I recently talked to a friend of mine who had done that. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and he actually told me that they have water stations down there.
Yep, they do, but you can't. There's no guarantee that they'll be working, so you need to carry at least 3 liters of water with you.
Okay.
And
is there any cell phone service down there?
No, there is not. My wife was somewhat concerned, and when we were working our way up, I'd actually see the top of the South Rim. It was dark out, but it was a moonlit night. It was just beautiful.
Oh.
And my phone rang. We were still a couple hours, 3 hours to go, and it was her. She was just trying to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
And, she was happy to hear my voice.
What was the first thing you did when you completed the hike? Did you have something to drink or eat, and what was it?
We were just elated. I wasn't even tired. I couldn't even sleep. We had a motel reservation in the South Rim, the village there.
Village. It's right there. It's
right there.
Yep.
It's right there. And we were so wound up from, the excitement of accomplishing that I don't think I slept a wink. And then we just headed back home after that.
Yeah.
Back to Las Vegas.
Wow. That must have been quite an experience. Yeah.
It really was. I just loved it.
How many miles is it?
It's, I'd say, a little over 24 miles.
Okay.
But it's the steepness going down and then the steepness going up that is the challenging part.
Yeah.
But it was very rewarding and exciting and beautiful, and I'd do it again if I could.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. So, Sandy, you're also, before we get to the Thanksgiving meal, I noticed you're also a part of a couple other organizations that are pretty interesting. The Friends of the Library is one of them.
Yes, I'm a charter member in 1982.
And that's the Park Rapids Library here?
Correct.
So what are some of the things that you work on as a board member of that?
I'm not a board member.
Oh, you're not a board member?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a board member. I'm just a member of the Friends of the Library.
What's the mission of the Friends of the Library?
To be help to the librarians and help with their programs. We have 4 book sales a year, and those 4 book sales help pay for the summer reading program or the adult winter reading program or 1,000 books before kindergarten. That's the projects of the Friends of the Library.
1,000 books before kindergarten?
Yes. Children, when they're babies, mom starts reading to you, and every time they have 100 books that they have written down they've read, they get a free book.
Oh.
And then we try to get them into 1,000 books before kindergarten.
Wow. Okay. And like how many would you say have been able to do that?
I don't have any idea because I moved on to a couple other projects. So.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like it would be just a wonderful thing for childhood development to be able to have that much reading. And does it count if the book is read to them?
Yes.
Well, I guess it must, right? Because
it have to be in the beginning. Not very many babies come out of the womb reading.
Okay. And then also Meals on Wheels too. Is that LSS?
Well, it is until the first of the year.
Okay. So what's going on there?
Well, we're changing vendors for the foods.
And what does it entail? I mean, what's a brief description of the program?
The program is to help those people that really need a hot meal and do not see anybody probably all week but the person that delivers. We have 5 churches involved: St. Peter's, Calvary, Hubbard United Methodist, Assembly of God, and Riverside United Methodist. So we each take 1 week, and then you wait for 5 weeks, and your turn comes around again.
Okay, and then each church supplies delivery people? Okay. And how many deliveries are made?
Well, this week it has been 25 in 2 routes.
Who does the cooking?
The cooking is done over at Nevis at the Senior Center kitchen right now.
And these are all freshly prepared meals?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we're kind of here today. We've gathered together today here to talk about Thanksgiving, and so I thought it might be kind of fun to talk about first maybe just sort of what Thanksgiving means to each of you, and if you had any early memories of Thanksgiving. Like when's the first Thanksgiving that you remembered celebrating? I'll start with you, Spike.
Well, I grew up in Ohio, a town called Geneva, Ohio, in northeastern Ohio, and my mom and dad and 3 siblings, we would go to our Auntie Bernice and Uncle Ken's house. They lived on Lake Erie.
Oh.
And he always, after our meal and dessert, Uncle Ken, I remember him just kind of nodding off right after the meal.
Yeah.
Well,
they say there's tryptophan in turkey, and that's one of the things that does it to you.
Well,
yeah.
it worked for him. But that's, it's just, of course, a time of family sharing and enjoying each other's company and enjoying a good meal, and which has a tie-in, of course, with the thank meal and the reasons for that became in existence due to the fact that not everybody has family to share a holiday meal with.
Right. And did your family always celebrate Thanksgiving as far back as you can remember?
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. Usually at Auntie Bernice and Uncle Ken's, but also we had some meals at our home. Also, we lived in a big old house in town, and Uncle Ken and Auntie Bernice came there, and he also fell asleep after the meal at our house too. But just it gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling of family and good food and the good smells that come with that, and home.
What about, you ever watch the football games during Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah. Back in those days, I remember the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
That was the Thanksgiving Day game, and the reception was often fuzzy, but that wasn't as big of a deal then as it is now.
As it is now.
Yeah.
The Cowboys also always play on Thanksgiving too.
Yeah. Well, some people call them America's team, but I don't.
I don't either. No, I don't either. How about for you, Sandy?
Well, we always went to my mother's parents.
Okay.
Because my mother was one of 7 siblings.
Yep.
And they almost all lived. I grew up in northwest Iowa.
Yep.
And Grandma and Grandpa had their house at Cherokee.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a center point. Everybody went there.
So how many people would be in attendance at these meals?
Let's see, there were 7 siblings, so that was 14. Grandma and Grandpa was 16. And as we grew, we had like 16 cousins. And Grandma and Grandpa lived in a little bitty house.
So now we're in the 30s and 40s as far as numbers are concerned, right?
Right.
So how many turkeys do you have to plan for per like if we've got 40 people, how many turkeys do we need?
I have no idea. That's not my job.
So did you ever think in those days that one day you might be behind planning a big Thanksgiving meal? No. Okay. And just while we're still in the kind of the family stories and stuff like that, what was the preferred method for preparing the turkey? When you were celebrating it as a girl.
Well, letting it thaw out in the refrigerator overnight.
Yep.
Taking the gizzard and all of that out, stuffing it, and then putting it in the oven, I suppose, at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's so very, very traditional way.
Right.
Was it always that way throughout the course of your life, as far as you know? Yeah.
Yes, until we lost Grandma and Grandpa, and then we had an older aunt who had it at her house.
Have you ever seen or heard of people deep frying a turkey?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Have you ever tasted it?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We belong to an RV club, and we've had it deep fried in big containers before.
Well, what do you think about the taste of that?
I don't like it that way.
No?
I think it dries out the turkey.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I always thought it would, like anything else, you deep fry it, it would cook faster, but it would kind of seal in the moisture, but no.
Yeah, but when you're thinking on the scale of a 20-pound turkey, it doesn't cook any faster there, I don't think, than it does in the oven. So then we would change down to 10-pound turkeys because they cooked faster in oil.
Okay. And you mentioned stuffing. Was there any other kind of staple food that you'd have on Thanksgiving or a dessert?
Sure, mashed potatoes and gravy and cranberry sauce.
Mm-hmm. And those are the same things I think that pretty much everybody's always associated with Thanksgiving.
And pumpkin pie, but mincemeat pie was a good pie for then too.
Ah, what's mincemeat pie? I don't think I ever had that.
my folks made mincemeat pie out of green tomatoes, so
Oh.
you don't really have any meat in it.
Is it a savory pie?
Pretty much, wouldn't
Yeah.
you say?
I've
think
never
so.
had it. We always had it as part of our Thanksgiving
never
meal, but
tried
I
it?
just went for the pumpkin.
See, I don't care for pumpkin, so I like the mincemeat.
Okay. And what about you, Spike? I mean, same kind of thing? Are we talking gravy and mashed potatoes and all
Sure.
that? And, yeah.
Yep. As much as you could eat. Yeah. Turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, whatever the vegetable might be, sweet potatoes, cranberry,
Oh, sweet
Right.
potatoes. That's
Yeah.
another one there.
Yeah.
Green
Yeah.
beans.
green beans
Yeah.
or corn, maybe. Yeah.
Usually green beans.
Yeah. And a nice big piece of pie
Yeah.
or two.
And that'll get you all set up for that afternoon nap then, right?
Right.
I don't remember napping much on Thanksgiving Day. We were probably too busy messing around, or I was harassing my sister or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Oh,
Yeah.
no, not you.
Okay. Well, Sandy, when did you or you and your co-founders first come up with the idea of, and I want to make sure I get this right, is it the thanks meal, or is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's called the community thanks meal.
What was it originally called?
Just the thanks meal.
Just the thanks meal. Now it's the community thanks meal.
Correct.
Okay, so what was who was the driving force behind it, and where did the idea come from? And
There were 4 of us that got together one Thanksgiving in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got together, we decided that there had to be other people like us who maybe didn't have family around and would like to get together. So we talked it over between us. It was Margaret Kimball, Marcy Roach, Joyce Pete, and myself. All 3 of those ladies are gone, and this makes 42 years I've been at the thanks meal.
okay.
So between the 4 of us, we talked about it and said, okay, let's pray about it for a week, and we did. And then we talked to our pastor, who at that time was Dwayne Grage. And we said, there's got to be other people, and especially in the church. We hadn't even thought about expanding. So we asked, what do you think? And he said, well, there's so-and-so and so-and-so, and these people don't even have any children, so they'd be... So in 82, we put 2 turkeys together, all the fixings, and asked people in our church if they wanted to come to a thanks meal. We served 8 outsiders and 4 of us, so that we served 12 and took out 10 meals that year.
Okay. So even on the first thanks meal, there were the takeout part of it was a component of it even then.
Correct.
Okay.
Because it was snowy, and there were some people that absolutely could not get out, and we thought, well, why not take out meals to them?
And so, aside from the 4 ladies that were sort of the core group, were there
Yes.
other people who helped with the driving and things of that nature?
Yes, there were a few other people.
Yeah. All right, and so that was in 1982.
Yes, we had 2 turkeys. We had 10 meals out, and 12 people ate at Margaret Kimball's, and that was 400 North
just north of here.
400 North Main.
Yeah.
Oh, right in town then.
Yep.
Yep.
House is still standing,
About
but
3 blocks
Margaret's
from
gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
So okay, so the meal didn't actually take place at the church yet. It was
No.
at Margaret Kimball's home.
Yes, and the reason we had it there was Margaret had all the necessity things that we needed to use, and we had card tables set up so that people sat at different tables.
Oh, okay, but everyone was kind of all together. And,
Yes.
Yeah. So I obviously it was a good idea to do that.
It seemed to be, and in
Yeah.
83 then we moved to the church.
Okay.
And the church at that time was on North Park,
Oh.
where there's a building there now that houses different businesses. And that building, that brick building, was our education unit.
Oh, is that sort of a yellowish
church.
building there? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Is
I
it
think that's
yellow?
north of Rocky's Pizza.
Oh, yeah, just north of Rockies.
Oh, just north of Rock.
Right-
oh, that
right
building.
next door.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very close to here too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Right by the river. That's
Yeah.
why it was named Riverside.
Oh, where was Riverside then?
Right there.
Right there. Okay, so that building was okay.
Yeah,
You
it
could
came.
explain.
The church part came out, and the basement came out from that building.
I see. Okay. So 83 was the first year it was held at the church, and what was the
Correct.
attendance like that year?
I can't tell you. Let's see. I can't tell you. I know that we had 4 turkeys, I think, and the 4 of us.
So it doubled.
Each did a turkey and then just
Yeah.
brought it to the church.
Okay.
And we asked people for pies.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we were doing all the rest of it, we thought, And if you want to give a free will donation, fine. If you don't, that's fine too.
Okay. So it was a, just privately funded amongst the people
the
who
4
were
of
doing-
us, and then several people in the church said, well, we'll help you with that. We'll buy enough for whatever mashed potatoes we're doing. Well, at that time, we were peeling potatoes.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore, right,
No?
Spike? It took a lot of potatoes,
Yeah.
I tell you.
So when did it first become open to the public?
That year in 83.
Oh, so immediately.
Well, it became open to our own church in 82.
Okay. Yep.
So this year marks 42 years.
42. Okay. And so, how was it publicized? Back then, was it all just word of mouth, or
No.
I mean, there wasn't a Facebook post on that, right?
No. And it wasn't a cell phone post either. I think what happened was whoever our secretary was said, let's just send this information out to the churches and see who wants to help. And then each of the 4 of us took on something. Like Margaret took on the turkeys and the dressing and that type of stuff. And Joyce Peak did pies. Marcy Roach was doing something with Margaret with what was coming in from that. And then I did all the reservations and who could deliver. So we had people from our own church deliver.
Yep. And so as it grew, how did you plan? How did you plan logistically, and just in terms of how much food are we going to need, or, how did you have an idea of that coming into the meal each year?
Well, the people that were on the, I don't want to say board because there was never really a board of people, but the people that took over from the 4 of us at that time were Mark Herbert, and Margaret Kimball stayed on with her son, Dick Kimball. And the 3 of them coordinated. I think Mark had probably cooked somewhere, and the 3 of them just took on what they thought they needed to have.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever ran out of anything. Do you?
As far as I know, no.
Yeah.
We would go on, for 1 year, part of the turkeys were pushed out to different people or given out to different people in church and said, you suppose you could cook this in your oven and bring it in done.
Yeah.
And that worked well. But once we got to lots of turkeys, like last year they did 45 turkeys.
Yeah, I was gonna. So Spike.
That's a lot different than 2.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. So you're now. What's your position in all of this? What would you call yourself?
I'm a co-chair.
Okay.
With Leah Burvig. And actually, I did it for many years, from the early 2000s until 2018, 19, I forget. And then I decided it was time for me to pass the torch, so to speak. And Leah stepped up right away, along with my daughter Kelly. Kelly has since gotten married and moved to another community, but so I'm now back involved in it again, since Leah is busy with another job and a busy mom, and so last year she cried for help, and so I came back and helped her out a little bit.
Yeah.
And
we're glad.
Leah is just amazing. And she's terrific. She's such a people person, and you can imagine with so many people coming the day before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day to come and help, and she orchestrates all of that with such joy and grace. It's really a thing to behold.
So you mentioned volunteers. So I take it it's possible to volunteer at this event.
Oh,
sure, we'll sign you up today.
So who would a person need to talk to?
Spike.
Okay.
Well, we'll
Right
put
now.
out, you mentioned the how do we get the word out?
Yeah.
And we really keep it pretty simple.
Yeah, we do.
We advertise in the Enterprise 2 times. One asking for help, and then one inviting people to come.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also advertise on KPRM at the radio station in town.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put flyers around town,
Right.
so to create awareness with the public at the typical places where there are flyers.
Sure.
And people are just used. Sandy, did you have something?
We also send a list of the things we need to each of the churches in town, so that they're
It's okay.
try not to break the equipment, so that people that would like to help,
Yeah.
are some people don't read all those ads in town, or
Yeah.
they don't see it in the paper.
The
for some
other
reason.
churches in town, Calvary, Faith Bridge, St. Peter's, St. John's, Hubbard, I probably shouldn't name them because I might be missing one or two, but they are,
it's just including some of those.
they,
Right.
right, they are very helpful in a lot with the pies and
Correct.
and just because the pies are mostly homemade pies. Some are donated by the grocery stores in town. And that's always a big stressor. You're going to have enough pies. We need to have over 100 pies to make it work.
Wow.
Right.
And people can bring them into the church the night before Thanksgiving, so it's not like we know we're going to have this many pies. But it always seems to work out.
I just happened to have judged a pie eating contest today, but so I consider myself to be an expert on pies.
Yeah.
So,
So how many are you bringing?
well, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to find out the details here about volunteering. So, typically, how many volunteers do you have?
It's really difficult to keep track of that because people come and go, and there's so many ways to volunteer.
Yeah, so what are some of the things that people can do? Or, once they volunteered, then you're assigning them to do?
Well, we'll break it down into the day before Thanksgiving on the Wednesday, and then Thursday. There's people that come in to carved turkeys, butter rolls, just get things prepared for the next, set the tables, set out the silverware.
Yeah.
Cut the pies.
Cut the
Cut the
pies.
pies that are
Well,
there.
that's usually done on Thursday morning. So we have designated areas of volunteership, you might say. There's a pie room where all the pies are, and there's a lady in charge of that.
Who's that? I gotta get to know her.
It was Linda Bear. Well, it's been different people over the years, and now it's Linda Szynski's sister.
Donna.
No, not Donna. The other one. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But she's terrific, and she's very organized. And then she has people that help her. We have carts that they roll the carts out to the guests and serve them pies.
Yep.
And there's people that will bus tables and reset the tables.
Yep.
There's people that are in the serving line. There's people that are in the kitchen.
Okay.
There's people that deliver, like Sandy mentioned. They come early before we start serving.
Yeah.
We put out the delivery meals. We have sign-up lists at different apartment buildings in town, like River Heights and Woodland Court Apartments and like Summerfield Apartments. We put out sign-up sheets 2 weeks before Thanksgiving Day where if they want a meal delivered, they can put their name on the list. Then we pick up that list on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
And then the Thanksgiving morning is when we organize the deliveries.
So is there like a common place where, or I mean, just like a sign up sheet or something where someone who wanted to volunteer could do that?
Yeah, well, that'll be in the paper, and really we've never had a shortage of volunteers.
No.
People are so kind and giving, and you could be sitting at a table buttering buns, and there's somebody sitting down next to you who you may have seen before but didn't really get a chance to have a conversation with, or may have never seen before and would become friends with them.
Right.
It's those kinds of things that makes this so special, because there's such a spirit that's involved with this.
Yeah.
A giving spirit that is in most humans, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm actually planning on having my Thanksgiving meal there this year.
Great.
So,
Excellent.
And I've done it one other time before too, and I think I helped serve at the, like through the line and everything like that. And I just remember just that exactly what you said. It's just such a great community event where people from all walks of life can sit down and have a meal together, and so it's really special in that way.
Well, that's one of the things that struck me at first. And Sandy and her friends started this and carried it forward, and that is the fact that you don't have to be alone. You can come and join us, and I've seen this multiple times where somebody would walk in and for whatever reason and be alone, and then pretty soon you see them sitting at a table having a conversation with someone while they're sharing their meal.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful thing to...
It's more than just a meal then, really.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's called caring and sharing.
Caring and sharing. You can think a lot of things. Gratitude. One of my favorite hymns is "And Can It Be?" Isn't that a Charles Wesley hymn? And I don't know if you guys ever sing that one at your
Sandy
church.
would
I
know
know
more
we
about
sing
that than
sing
me.
it at ours, but just getting that sense of gratitude and all being brought together for something like that. It's an amazing testament to the power of people who are wanting to help others and wanting to be involved in these things. And it's really an amazing event. So I got to ask now, on as far as the meal is concerned, obviously turkey, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody mentioned it before, but could you repeat it? How many turkeys are you now ordering or planning for this meal?
Well, last year it was 45. And
45.
Yeah.
So we went from 2 to 45.
In 42 years.
In 42.
41 years.
So that's an average of 1 turkey per year almost, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, we've never run out. We've never had to turn anybody away. As a matter of fact, we've had leftovers, and we always distribute those leftovers to people that may be in need.
Okay.
Right.
And we've had people that come, our cleanup crew, that's another separate, we have them come at the end of the meal, and they're not there during the meal, otherwise they'd be too exhausted to clean up. So they come there, and for a few years there was a woman, Jennifer Thorkelson Gephardt, who used to be be in charge of kinship. So she knew a lot of families.
Sure.
And we would, dole out the food, and she'd call, and we'd take the food over there to them. And so we do that kind of thing. It's important for us to do that, is to not waste any. And really, we haven't got to this, and you probably were going to ask this anyway, but we don't. It's free will offering. There's no charge for the meal, and our goal is, after expenses are paid, that we would give all of the money back into the community.
Oh.
And last year...
We always save a little bit for seed.
Well, you got to do that. You got to do that.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said all, but we were able to give over $9,000 back to the community.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, that is amazing. So not only does it benefit everyone involved, working or eating or just being a part of it, but then the greater community is served by it as well. I mean, what an amazing event.
Well, and the other part about it is when you think of the people that are on the serving line, they serve on that line an hour and 15 minutes. And then that whole line changes over to another group of people that want to serve.
Oh, okay.
Because from the time they start putting the meals together, that they go out first.
Yeah.
The deliveries. Yeah.
The deliveries go out first. So you have somebody on the line, and then those people change over, and at 11 o'clock we start serving people that are inside.
All right, so I was going to ask you that. So the deliveries go out early.
Yes.
And then 11 a.m. is when it starts?
Correct.
Okay. And where do you start slowing down or closing down?
We'll have a host family. It usually has been Mark and Kim Harmon and their family.
Yep.
And as people
Mark's been on this podcast twice, by the way.
Has he?
Yeah.
As
He likes to talk.
Yeah, he does.
As they start coming in, they count how many people are in the dining hall, and then they ask them to sit in the sanctuary in the pews, and then they, as people leave, then they know who to come in and who is next.
Yep. And you just keep going until the people are gone?
Until the people are gone.
Wow. Okay. So what typically, like if someone's planning on going there, what time had they better get there by?
Before 2 o'clock.
Before 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Not that we run out of food,
No.
but that, that's typically a time when...
Yeah, the times may vary, so they'll have to watch for the flyers and the advertising, because it could be 11:30 to 2:30 or 11 to 2 or something like that.
Sure.
But people
Have you
will get fed if they...
Have you started thinking about how many turkeys? No.
It's get the dartboard out and start throwing. It's it'll probably be about the same.
About 45.
Yeah.
So are those all prepared right there at the church, or do you still use the method?
Not anymore.
No? Okay.
We had been getting them done at Coborn's. This year we might be farming it out more to the Legion and Northern Pines.
Yep.
Which they have kitchen facilities there. So I think that might be a little change that we'll do it that way this year.
So you don't have all these turkeys all baking at the same time in the church kitchen. That might get a little hot.
We just couldn't do it.
Well, we don't have room for them.
No, I was going to say, that would be... Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do large quantities of turkeys kind of at the same time. And so they're done about the same time, and then they can cool, and then that would be on Tuesday when the turkeys are roasted.
Okay.
And Wednesday would be when we carve them into bite-sized pieces and put them in foil pans and cover them with foil, and then refrigerate them until Thanksgiving morning.
And then they're heated there on the site. Okay.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. We have a convection air oven, so besides 2 big ovens, so they start, at 5 in the morning?
No, about 6:30.
Okay.
You get the ovens warmed up, and it's a long day.
Is your son going to be part of that
Not
this year?
this year. Actually, Mark's son.
Parker.
Harley.
Parker.
And Parker's going to be on the podcast too.
Well, that's Mark Harmon's son.
Mark's son.
Mark Harmon's son, Parker, has done it the last couple of years. I believe.
And he's an ROTC student at St. John's. Yeah. Really successful student. Yeah.
Good
Very
deal.
impressive young man.
Well, and he has a brace of young men that come to help him.
Well,
don't they?
Leah has 4 kids, and they are all involved. And then she has multiple nieces and nephews. So she's got a lot of young people, which is really encouraging.
You need that, right?
And they love doing it. Like Mark's daughters now they're taking over some of the hostessing, greeting people with a smile when they walk in. Yeah. And making them feel welcome. And Mark and Kim had done that for years, and now Mark has told me his daughters are doing that.
Making it a family tradition to be a part of it.
Yep, exactly.
So what else is on the menu aside from turkey?
Well, the usual mashed potatoes, which are not the potatoes where we peel the
Thank
the
heavens.
flakes, I guess you'd call them. But they're delicious.
Yes.
Gravy, cranberry. People used to bring in a variety of salads. That would be another part of the volunteering. And you asked earlier about how many people volunteer. I really couldn't tell you. It's over 200-300.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anybody, for people that have anything to do with helping the thank meal be successful. But yeah, salads of a variety, Jello salads or coleslaw, and the sweet potato recipe, which there's a woman named Shelley Mahowald who was worked there for years.
Yep.
You know Shelley, I think she got married this year, and she may not be here this year. I haven't heard for sure yet, but
her brother Sean helps too.
Sean and her other brother Shane helped also for many years. He would always wear a Santa's hat, and he and his wife would wear a Santa's hat just to add joy to the whole thing. I haven't seen Shane for a couple of years, but he lived in the Twin Cities, I think. I think we're going to have corn this year instead of green beans. And of course, a variety of kinds.
Wait now.
No, it was an executive decision. Not mine. Well, maybe it was.
Yeah. Well, corn is good.
Corn is
variety is the spice of life, I suppose, right?
Right.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that they're never going to bring green beans back, right?
Well, that's okay. I'm eating at home, so I'll have green beans.
But we also have pickup, so there's 3 ways to get a meal, to come and enjoy the meal, which was the original way.
Correct.
And then, the deliveries also, and now people can come and pick up meals, which, is not my favorite thing, but it's just more convenient for folks sometimes. But I like it when they come in and they sit down at the table, and you get to visit with them a little bit.
Well, and a lot of people have this now as their tradition. They come to Riverside and eat inside and try to sit with different people so that they get to know somebody different every year.
Right.
And we have whipped cream to go on the people that love pie with whipped cream. Why, I'm not sure, but...
Oh, yeah. Well,
I'm not a whipped cream person, so...
I'll take it every time.
Yeah, well, you can have mine.
Well, to me, it's like adding whipped cream to the pie is gilding the lily. Have you ever used that expression before?
Yes.
It's like, why take something that's already beautiful and try to make it better?
Yeah.
Right. Unless you have an apple pie and then you need a slice of cheddar cheese.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, you warm it up a little bit, maybe, and
Lovely.
The dressing too. I didn't mention the stuffing. The dressing. There's 2 guys that make the dressing. It's Bob and Denny, and the last couple of years they've made it over at the Legion. So with all the activity that's going on at Riverside with all the other preparation, they can just make the dressing, and they use big totes with shovels to mix
about
the
this
dressing.
big.
And so they make a couple of big totes full, and then they put them in foil pans to bake the dressing. They've done that over to the Legion the last couple of years, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
And I don't know who would do it if those 2 were not there.
I don't know. Got to keep somebody.
You got to keep always recruiting for the
always
next generation,
recruiting,
right? Yeah.
Hopefully we have a recipe.
We do have a recipe.
Oh, good. All right.
Which came from back in
part of
Margaret's day.
Yeah.
It's the same original recipe for the dressing. But with the young people that, Mark and Leah, their kids and their friends and nieces and nephews. It's great to see young folks be involved.
And most of us think that, even though we had traditions at home with Grandma and Grandpa and our families, you're not there anymore. You're farther away. Like, my husband and I have no family in this whole area. Our kids are scattered in 4 different states. My sister lives in Florida. His brother is gone. Both our parents are gone. So this is a tradition for us.
Yeah. And it still is a family tradition.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's church family tradition for us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Well, I was going to ask, is there any particular way that you like to prepare your leftover turkey, or?
Well, just everything mixed together.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I'm kind of tired of it after Thanksgiving Day. And like I said before, we get rid of all of it. We distribute it.
It goes out, yeah.
Actually, last year, I took everything that we had, the pies, a couple of foil pans of turkey and dressing, and took it out to the elders out at Pine Point.
Yes.
Oh.
And, I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but I think they were happy to receive that.
They were.
I'd been out to Pine Point. I used to substitute teach out there, so I was familiar with the school.
Sure.
And then the part of the school is where the elders come, and it was enjoyable to be able to do that.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
But I don't know if they want us to bring any out this year or not, so we'll find out.
Okay.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Are there any other kind of facts that we need to know about the meal that we haven't mentioned thus far?
Well,
I can tell you that during COVID, we still had the meal.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't come into the building. We took everything out to people to deliver them.
Yeah.
So it's been a continuous meal since 1982.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Plus, obviously there's costs involved.
Right.
And we want to be able to give back to the community whatever is left over and above those costs.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will accept any gifts from folks that want to give financially to help us put on the thank meal. And when at our serving line, we've always had a sign there that the meal is free. But if you'd like to give a free will donation to cover our expenses, then you're welcome to do that. Mm-hmm. Nobody should ever feel like they're pressured to pay for the meal.
No.
We've never wanted that.
Yeah. So just to recap then, this is a thanks meal. It's a Thanksgiving meal. And it's at Riverside Methodist Church, which is located right just on Highway 71 north of town, right?
Correct.
Or in town, but just...
But it's Riverside United Methodist, because now there's a distinction of just United Methodist and Methodist.
There was a split in there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to talk about that in a different show. But I found that to be interesting. But that meal takes place on Thanksgiving Day.
Correct.
And those who want to attend are advised to be there between 11 and 2 if they want to eat.
Right.
And if they want to volunteer, they would look for the ad in the newspaper. Is there a website or a...
that's one thing that we haven't mentioned is we have what's called a turkey hotline.
Right.
Okay.
It's...
Arvig gives us that line.
It's, what is it? 237 Turkey, TRKY.
TRKY. So 218-237 Turkey. Okay.
Well, they can call that, and that's if they wanted a meal delivered, they would call that turkey hotline, which the messages are received, daily leading up to Thanksgiving Day. How many meals would you need?
And it's done on the Wednesday.
Yep.
Before Thanksgiving. We don't take any calls on Thanksgiving Day.
No, that would be impossible to deal with. That. Yeah.
Well, we tried it, but it's a little
doesn't
hectic.
work.
Yeah.
And if people want to volunteer, how would they contact you?
They could call Riverside United Methodist Church.
They could call the church. Okay.
It's 218-732-5205. Kimberly is our receptionist there, and she helps us quite a bit in recording a lot of that because she's kind of the central nervous system of our church as far as communications go. So they could, and she would relay that message to us in terms of where somebody would like to help.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, last question, and I'll start with you, Spike. and I'll ask you both the same question so you can think about your answer while I'm grilling Spike on this. But Spike, throughout your years of working on this meal and your experience doing that, what has it taught you about the Thanksgiving itself and the meaning of the meal?
Well, it just reinforces your faith in humans, that we are generally good and like to share and like to give and like to love each other. It's the experience is rewarding, but it's exhausting also, because there's just so many things going on at once. That's just. But I wouldn't have traded it for the world, because it was very special to just see all of this come together during Thanksgiving Day, and all of the people that are involved that give of themselves to help pull it off. So it's just good to see humans do that and be good to each other.
Okay, good. And I'll ask you the same question, Sandy. After having founded this meal and been involved with it in so many years, what has it taught you about the meaning of Thanksgiving?
That there are a lot of people that want to share and care with each other, whether it's delivering meals or standing in the line serving meals or making the food and coming to butter all the buns that are there or cutting the pies, whatever it is. There's a lot of volunteerism in Park Rapids and Hubbard County that a lot of people don't know about. And almost every church in this Hubbard County area is involved with volunteering some way or shape for the community thanks meal.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Spike and Sandy, thank you both very much for coming in to talk with me about this, just this very special meal that takes place here every year. And I hope that it's a success this year. Pray that it's going to be a wonderful event for everyone. And
are you bringing pies or just coming to volunteer?
I am going to talk to you guys about this afterwards, because I have a few people who I'm going to bring with me. But if you need pies, I'm sure we can help, because I'll probably bring my mom and her and my aunt and my brother. Will probably all attend there together. So I'll ask them and what they can do, and when we can be there and all that stuff. Because I want to be a part of it too. It's such a special event. So.
That's great.
Good.
Never known a pie that would go to waste.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, I know. I had to judge a pie contest this morning, and I had to. It was a very difficult job, and I think there were 9 pies, and I was given a healthy sample of each one. But I thought to myself, waste not, want not, and so I was able to actually finish eating all of the pie that was put in front of me. There was an apple pie that won, by the way. So, all right, Sandy, Spike, thank you so much for being here, and we'll hope to see you again soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.